Hello folks, Pipeman 1861 here. It's getting pretty late in the evening. It's about 9:15 now, and the reason I am dressed in a Union infantry uniform is I just came from a rededication ceremony of a monument in Columbus, Indiana. I'm a member of the Sons of the Union Veterans of the Civil War, and we just completed a project restoring a monument in the Columbus City Cemetery that was dedicated in 1895 to the unknown soldiers and sailors that passed away, that were killed in this American Civil War, the Union soldiers and sailors. So that's why I'm dressed this way. I just got home. Figured there's just a little bit of daylight left. It was a beautiful evening. And I figured I'm still already dressed this way. Might as well. And I figured I might as well make it a Civil War smoke tonight. So I have my Civil War style pipe. When I do civilian reenacting, this is what I use. It's an old, you see them on eBay quite a bit. It's an old pressed meerschaum. I call them souvenir pipes, but nice cherry wood stem horn mouthpiece. These are actually very accurate for historical reenacting 1860s. Excuse the lighter, that's the only modern item that I'm using. Oh yes, and the blend that I chose tonight is Wilkie's Surberg Crystal Palace, which according to them was first blended in 1859. So charring light going. Let that go out for a minute. But I wanted to make a video tonight while you can still see me. I came, like I said, from that event. You know, we had a color guard, you know, we had our muskets, had a three volley salute. It was a very nice event, very touching. We recited all the speeches from the original 1895 ceremony. I performed the closing prayer, but that event left an impression on my mind, and it's an impression that's nothing new, but it was kind of reintroduced to me anew. Tonight, I realized how far our country has gotten away from its history, and what strangers we are to its history, to our history. Because we didn't advertise heavily this event. It was, you know, it's a small event. We're a small organization, at least the camp that I'm a member of, you know, about 25 gentlemen are members. But the fact of the matter is, we did advertise a little bit, but I'd say a total of maybe 10 people, other than the gentlemen, the reenactors in our camp, 10 members of the public showed up. Now, and I found myself thinking, oh, that's a pretty good turnout. And then I realized, that's not a good turnout, ladies and gentlemen. And the way my brain works, one thing sort of leads to another. So that sort of led to me thinking, why is that? And of course, I knew the answer right away. I've thought about this a lot over the years, being a reenactor, living historian. History has been stamped into the mud so much over the last many years, much more so the last, I'd say, 10 years or so, but for many, many years. It's been a slow progression. All started in the schools. They stopped teaching our history, or at least they started watering it down slowly, starting back in the 50s and 60s. Probably a little bit before that, but that's when it really started getting bad. And it just progressed from there, and now we're seeing the results of it. Well, as an example, a long time ago, it was about 4 years ago, I was at a reenactment. It was just a little living history event. I was in my Union uniform. And I understand people don't retain things that they're not very interested in. I understand a lot of folks aren't interested in history particularly. But a full-grown lady, she was probably about 45 or 50 years old, she came up to me and she was looking me up and down. And she said, and we were talking, I think her little daughter, maybe even her granddaughter was there. And she was looking at me up and down and she said, "Now what uniform are you supposed to be wearing?" Now folks, I'm wearing a very generic Union infantryman uniform. I mean, there's nothing special about this uniform. If you know the slightest amount about the Civil War, you've seen pictures in the history books, you know that's what I'm wearing. She was wondering if and you know what she was wondering? She was wondering if I was a Confederate. She had a very disapproving look on her face, looking me up and down. More recently, just a few weeks ago, I live in Aurora, Indiana. They're going to have a live band at an event in Lawrenceburg, which is just down the road from Aurora. And the band they're getting was called the Confederate Railroad. I've never listened to them. I saw it advertised. But there is one individual in this community, Lawrenceburg that is, who's complained that that's very offensive, and how dare they ever book a band named the Confederate Railroad. That's offensive to people. Now, the mayor of Lawrenceburg had a wonderful response to that. Basically, he said, "I don't care. They've been around for decades. We're doing it. You're one person." But it's just so... people have lost their cotton-picking minds. It's amazing. People get offended at the least little thing, and a lot of it, you put it right down to, they don't know history. They don't care about history because they have been taught in school that our history is something to be ashamed of in this country, that is. And world history to an extent, but mainly they're teaching in this country, history is something to be ashamed of. I think I packed this a bit too tightly. Try this again. But, very good blend, by the way. Nice heavy English blend. But anyway, it's just absolutely unbelievable to me that what is... I don't even know really how to put it into words. Because in my mind, history is a very important thing to know about, because the old saying, and I'm sure you all have heard it, those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. Folks, we're looking at it. I know my specialty is the mid-19th century, about 1845 to 1865, give or take, a little bit later than that. But the political conditions in this country right now are frighteningly similar to the political conditions in 1860, just before the American Civil War began. We are dangerously close to repeating history in a horrible, horrible way. At least many people are, I should say. And it comes from not studying history, accurate history. They've watered it down and chopped it up and ran it through the sausage grinder, and what has popped out is not something that should be put forth, if you will. Anyway, history is very important. I'm losing my light here, so I'm probably going to have to get going. But history is a vital thing, ladies and gentlemen. American history must be taught. It must be taught to our children. Because like I said, if we do not know history, we are doomed to repeat it. And I personally made a vow a long time ago. One of the reasons I'm a living historian is I made a vow that I was going to do my very best and educate folks on our history and educate them on how it was without any watering down of the facts or worrying about who I will offend. And I have offended some folks. There we go. I think I'm getting it now. But it's very important. Time's running out. If we don't do something pretty quick, and a lot of people do something pretty quick, we're going to find ourselves in a mess that we're not going to be able to get out of. And that's my greatest fear for this country. I love this country. I love everything it's used to stand for. I love everything it's supposed to stand for. And I am doing my best to make sure other folks know it too. Anyway, that's enough ranting for this evening. This is Pipeman 1861 saying thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Happy smoking. Read a history book. It doesn't have to be your, actually please don't make it or let it be your school history book. Get an old one. Read Shelby Foote. That is how you will educate yourself. Thank you, folks. Have a good evening.